Hi, this is Tasheena.
And this is Jonathan.
And this is We Watch What We Watch, a podcast where the two of us come together, talk and chat about movies and TV.
Today, we're doing a part one of our summer 2024 recap.
Yep, we got 4 movies today. So these are going to be mini reviews. The first 3, we're not going to get into spoilers due to the fact that they're independent or they're underseen movies. So if you are intrigued by the movies, I want you to go out and see them. So I'm going to try to stick to maybe some mild spoilers, but definitely nothing major. And then the last one is a mainstream movie. We'll get into spoilers for that last movie. Just wanted to clarify that up front so everybody knows what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jonathan, what is the first movie we have for today?
I don't know. What was the first one? Was it Beast?
It was The Beast, yes.
No, not just Beast. It's a totally different one.
Yes, it's The Beast.
The Beast.
It is a French movie. You know you're going to get my terrible French accent today.
Oh, no.
Oui.
In the near future, where emotions have become a threat, Gabrielle finally decides to purify her DNA in a machine that will immerse her in her previous lives and rid her of any strong feelings. She then meets Louis and feels a powerful connection, as if she has known him forever. A melodrama crossed by the genre, which unfolds over 3 distinct periods, 1910, 2014, and 2044.
What's interesting about this movie is me and Jonathan are probably in different camps on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely had different, at least when we first watched it, like right after. I think we were both in different places. I'm interested to see where we are at the moment. How do you want to handle this, Jonathan? Do you want to just go into positives first?
Yeah, so
Since you might not have that many.
I did not like this one bit. I thought it was everything that I was worried I Saw the TV Glow was going to be.
Okay.
And what some of the weird critiques of I Saw the TV Glow were. Oh, it's pretentious. It's this artsy-fartsy pretentious bullcrap. I'm like, no. I Saw the TV Glow has a message. It is saying something. You can tell it comes from like the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really a powerful emotional piece. And this felt like every cliche of what people tend to make fun of, like these French art house movies.
It is very French.
Yes.
I will
Which
do that.
I am not against.
Mm-hmm.
I just did not feel like there was that emotional core. It felt so heady and lifeless.
It definitely could have been grounded more. I do agree on that. I think definitely liked it more than you. I didn't love it. There's definitely a lot of problems that I have with it. The basic premise is that, in the future, pretty much is run by AI. They've taken all our jobs. And so there's not many human jobs. And so to get one of these higher up human positions, you pretty much have to cleanse yourself. Almost in essence, becoming more AI. It's almost like the AI only trusts humans to do the job if they take their humanity out of them.
Yeah.
And to do that, they cleanse their past lives, which I'm like, reincarnation exists? Like, what's going on? I'm surprised they didn't go more into that, but whatever.
Yeah, they say in like a quick line, like
Yes.
basically your trauma, the trauma you experience is passed on. And
Yes.
you can collect all this trauma from your total human experience of you. And I'm guessing it's explicitly descendants.
That's what I'm guessing. Yes.
But I don't know if any of them had children, so it can't be descendants. So it literally is like, no. It's more like reincarnation.
Because,
Because, right, she never has children that I remember. So it is explicitly reincarnation.
There is a lot of interesting themes and elements in here. I did like that the way past, present, and future were represented, almost like 3 different genre of movies. I thought that was neat. I did like the main message, what the beast actually is, like what that represents, and like this doomed love affair. But I do agree with you that sometimes it got a little too heady, too lost in the weeds a bit. I don't know. I definitely think it could have narrowed down a bit. It could have trimmed, especially the past and the present. I think sections could have been trimmed down.
Which past?
The 1910s.
See, that the 1910 one was my favorite part.
It's my favorite.
It's the 2014 one that where most of my issues are.
Honestly, yeah, 2014 definitely had probably the most flaws. But it also had parts that really, like, spooked me. So I wish that was more concentrated on.
That's true.
And then some of, like, those kind of stuff was trimmed away. Would have been a lot stronger for me. I think the hard part is, because it's only these three, I didn't get the sense of, like, this doomed love affair, like, across the ages.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have had maybe even one more genre section. But I get this is supposed to be, like, past, present, future. So...
And you also don't want to get into Atlas Shrugged territory.
I mean, honestly, this was, like, an Atlas Shrugged... Not Atlas Shrugged, but the Atlas
What?
Cloud. Or Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas. The one
It's not the same thing?
No.
Damn.
No, Atlas Shrugged is that Ayn Rand book.
Oh.
Where Cloud Atlas
You don't want to get into Cloud Atlas territory. Maybe that's why I didn't like Gazarami too much of that piece of crap. Too much past life trauma.
But what's interesting, I did love Cloud Atlas, the book. And this gave me those vibes, but I felt like it needed a little bit more to it to kind of give that doomed across multi-generations love affair. Because the ending really hit me. I think the pieces were there. I just wish it came together a little better.
The ending was powerful, although I'm just a bit confused because I felt like, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a surprise to us or not, because I thought it was the characters expressed the intent of what they were going to do and then they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh no, isn't that what was always going to happen?
I wasn't surprised. I think it was more the tragedy of it. Because in tragedies, you kind of sometimes know where things are going to head.
You do, but usually it's like, characters don't. Situational irony, I think, is what, right?
Yes,
that's the situational irony.
I think I remember that from lit class.
But I thought she knew too. I thought everyone knew, and then she was surprised, which threw me as well.
She knew the goal. I'm wondering if she was hoping to talk to him before that happened.
It just didn't come across that way.
Got it. Either way, I don't know. That end scene really got to me.
I'll give you that.
This was hyped up for me. A lot of people are saying it was like a top 5 for them for the year. A lot of good stuff for me. A lot of good elements and themes. Just one of those movies that it didn't click.
Yeah, the 1910 story I thought was the tightest.
Yes.
I love their dialogue together, and how that story ends is really like it was just really well done. Yeah, and the future stuff also works because it's in this strange future. A lot of their mannerisms and the way they talk, you pass. And the same thing with the 1910 storyline. The 24 and 1910, you can pass a lot of the way sort of dialogue that they have because it's like this period dialogue and this future dialogue where everything's sort of strange and muted now. Where I thought it then didn't work was when they tried to do the modern day 2014 line, and that all felt like it could have been written by M. Night Shyamalan. Just the way they were talking to each other was so stilted. Whereas I bought everything else and suddenly went to that, and it was just like too much for me to buy into this being a real thing anymore because it was too close to home. You go into the past, you go into the future.
I see what you're talking about.
You can accept all these things, but then it goes into the present, and it both tries to be more grounded, but he is incapable of getting there. It felt like he was trying to make it believable. It felt like he did not know how to write real people talking to each other.
Yes, I think the present would have been better if it was maybe a little earlier, maybe like 70s, 80s, 90s, not 2014.
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Especially since it's supposed to be like a cat and mouse thriller. If it was like an exotic, erotic thriller.
And it could have then avoided the other huge pitfall for me, which is trying to shoehorn in modern technology.
I understand why this upset you. Thankfully, I'm dum with technology, so it didn't upset me too much.
It's just
the look of it. Yeah, I get you.
There's nothing dramatic about a cell phone or a webcam.
No, it's not.
There have been a very small handful of movies that have tried to do that, there was a movie that, wasn't there like a horror movie that was all like in texts? Or there have been people who have tried to tackle this, like, hey, how do you make this modern technology?
Very COVID.
Yeah. But most of the time it's just like, cell phones ruin it. It's just like, I don't want to see you try and incorporate mysticism into a webcam. It had this weird mysticism angle, but you're trying to do it over a webcam, and I just don't buy it.
I get it. Yeah, some of that didn't work for me, though. The line of when she's like, "Well, I don't want to tell you because of the person behind you." Sure, that one line did get to me. I was like, "Ooh!"
Do that over the phone.
Yeah, that could have been the same thing.
My main thing really was the 2014 plot, which was right in the middle, and the crux of the story just felt so off that I just couldn't make that leap.
I know, all the pop-ups on her, her screen really cracked me.
And that's more like 1990s internet, and it was just like
2014.
It just really felt like someone trying to. And if they wanted to go more surreal, I think they could have conveyed that more with maybe the cinematography and stuff. But it was shot very plain and flat at that point.
Yes.
So I didn't really buy into any of it being surreal. It really felt like he was trying to show something just very straight, and it just felt off.
He should have leaned way more into a genre for that.
Probably, yeah. Or
probably would help.
That, or change the time period, or just cut the technology.
Especially since I kind of like where her love interest, is it George McKay that plays him? I believe.
I think that's.
He was in 1917? Am I getting my British people right?
George McKay, yeah.
George McKay.
Yeah, 1917. Did you say 1917?
Yes, I did.
Oh, damn it.
I got it. Woohoo!
Numbers.
I liked him in the present section because he's like this ultra incel.
That was good.
That was probably the most intriguing part of that, because he gets in his own way, because he's so jaded by women that when he meets her, there's just no way.
He literally meets his
true love,
his trans-universal love connection, but can't recognize it because of...
So red pill incel.
So I get that.
Yes.
I get that. And that is the key. So I'm not sure how you do that if you change the time period, because that is so now.
Oh, that's probably why he did.
So I don't have I guess I don't have a singular suggestion of here's how you make it better for me. I just know there's a way.
If he did keep it in 2014, I think leaning into the genre and getting rid of some of the technology would have really strengthened that section.
It felt like he was trying to incorporate them because that's what differentiates the time period. And you're showing 3 time periods. Do you want them to be different? I don't think that's necessary. I don't think you need a ham fist in, well, what's unique about 2014 versus 2044 and 1910? They have webcams. We have to use it to show that it's 2014. It's like, we get it's 2014. Not everything has to. It felt like it all had to use.
Got it.
Everything had to use some sort of uniquely 2014 technology or medium.
We're just probably using phones even would have been enough. Phones, yeah.
But also, you can still just see them in person. These people do exist in person. We get it's 2014. You don't have to have everything be digital. And so that threw me. And of course, since it's right at the end, it sort of threw me off the train at that point.
Yeah, Jonathan was very upset when this movie ended. He was like, bluff, pretentious, nonsense.
And I don't want to be that person, but I felt like it fit here.
I think sometimes French cinema can get in that trap. And sadly, that's why it gets that stereotype. And I'm not saying all French cinema is like that. I'm just saying it tends to lean into that stereotype. But there's a lot of great French cinema, like the Portrait of a Woman on Fire. I love. So
before people make assumptions, Olympics opening ceremony was fire. Fuck the haters. It was so French. I loved it.
Even when they were messing up the can.
Even the terrible parts.
It is very French. Yes. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Why are we? Wait, we're talking about the Olympics now.
I just want to make sure that I'm not burger-eating, French-hating American stereotype.
I love international cinema.
My best friend is a Frenchman.
So we are ready for our next mini review.
All right, and now we have Exhuma. The process of excavating an ominous grave unleashes dreadful consequences buried underneath. So I did not see this one. You saw this one. Take it away.
So I actually just kind of ran into this on Shudder. I love South Korean horror. I saw The Wailing a few years back. It's probably one of my favorite horror movies. Ever since then, I kind of keep my radar out for any South Korean horror, especially in that vein, like the supernatural sense, because I feel like it's very religious horror over there, especially in Eastern culture. It's just very different from Western, which is usually like The Exorcist. Like everybody's trying to do The Exorcist again.
The Pope's Exorcist. Exorcist.
I mean, Russell Crowe is making a career on just being a priest doing Exorcist. I love religious horror, so I love trying to find stuff that is different from just your Exorcist. This came on my radar, and I found it very interesting. So there's two teams of people. One team is led by a shaman, a lady shaman, which was awesome, and her assistant. And the other is led by a geomancer.
Oh.
Yes.
Does he cast geostorms? Sorry.
No, but he's still really cool, Jonathan. Okay. Who's played by the actor who played Old Boy. And that's also why this was of interest to me, is I love that actor and I love Old Boy. So as a geomancer, this to me was the most interesting part. So families pay him and his assistant to pretty much find a grave that will be good for their loved ones to bury. Will help give them peace in the afterlife.
Okay.
What is it? Feng Shui? Feng Shui. That's what I'm trying to get at. So he's like a Feng Shui master, but in like nature, grave placement, and the afterlife. And all of that was so cool. I loved all of it. I haven't really seen that in movies.
Uh-huh.
And so these two teams, they already know each other. And the lady shaman gets a case where a baby is being tortured by a ghost, pretty much, because ever since he was born, he's just been crying. And they know that it is haunted because the father and the grandfather are also experiencing hauntings. It's like the firstborn son in this line. They figure out that it is the great-grandfather. They're like, he must have been buried somewhere not right. He is throwing a temper tantrum in the afterlife. We need to find his grave, unbury him, move it, like see what is happening. So they then get the geomancers. They team up together, these two teams, to find this grave.
Interesting.
And this is like the first half of the movie. I felt all of it was compelling. I loved the first half of the movie. They even have a bit where they have to exhume the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Exhuma. And the shaman has to do a ritual because if there is any like evil energy, it might go onto one of them or one of the people digging up the grave. That scene is so cool. There's also one in The Wailing. I don't know what is going on, but these shaman rituals are next level. There's like all kinds of animals sacrificing and wild dancing and blood everywhere. I'm just like, part of me's like, I need to look us up to see how shaman rituals are over in South Korea. Like how much is
a real thing, and how can I get in on
I know.
this?
Like where's the overlap? Like how much of it is real and how much is it just movie magic? And so they exhume the body, and so the rest of this first half is pretty much like what the aftermath of that. It seems like everything is closed up, tied with a little bow, but it's only halfway through the movie. So now, something else is happening. So the second half of the movie, it's okay. It's not bad. It's just a little weaker, in my opinion.
Okay.
But there's also some good stuff with not only generational trauma, but like cultural trauma, because one of the evil entities is Japanese.
Oh.
that part of the second half was compelling. Some of the stuff was touch and go. I think overall, it's definitely worth a try, especially if you like I said, religious horror, South Korean horror, geonancer stuff is really cool. I thought the acting was strong, the script is strong, just a little shaky in that second half. So it is what it is, but I enjoyed it, especially that first half. I thought it was a good time. It's a little lengthy. It's like 2 hours. And I think the shadow of the wailing is also upon it. I think it's going to be hard for a lot of movies to like...
Which one's that?
I feel like we've talked about it maybe a few months ago. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. Yes, because it's where awful murders are happening in a small town, and there's a stranger on the outskirts of town, and he's Japanese. And so it's almost assumed like he has something to do with it. So it's like supernatural. So just that to me really went into like cultural trauma in a very poignant way. How we treat outsiders or how we handle our generational trauma and how we view other people. Also, it just has banging supernatural elements in it. It got really under my skin. It's also a part with some zombies in it. And it's a little bit open-ended at the end, which I like. I think there's 2 ways you can interpret it. And I think there's evidence for both ways. And I remember when I watched this with my horror group, there were some people who were like adamant on one side and some on the other. Man,
those are always the best
discussion.
Endings.
Like just the way it was constructed was brilliant. Wailing was so good. I think some other South Korean horror movies that are in the similar vein, because it's definitely had similar elements. I think the shadow of the wailing is definitely upon like some of these movies. But I still thought this was a good time.
Okay.
So, any thoughts from you, Jonathan?
Well, as an expert on Korean horror myself, no, but I think it's good. I think now we got 2 solid recommendations of this in The Wailing for anyone who's unfamiliar with the genre. All right. Do we want to talk about another one? How are you feeling?
Sure. Do you want to talk about Hundreds of Beavers?
Hundreds of Beavers.
I'm so excited to talk about this.
In this 19th century supernatural winter epic, a drunken Applejack salesman must go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper by defeating hundreds of beavers. So this one's been making the rounds on social media and Reddit, and so we kept hearing about it.
But still very underground.
Very underground. But everyone who talked about it was raving about it. Like, you have to see this. We could not stop laughing. This is the funniest thing we've ever seen. So we decided to give it a try. Rented it on Amazon Prime. Not a sponsor. Fuck Amazon. Anyway, watched the movie, and boy, what a treat.
Oh my gosh, I loved it so much.
This is both one of the funniest and one of the cutest little movies I've seen in a long time.
It just brought me so much joy. I can't express to people how lit up I was. Because at the beginning, I'm like, oh no, what have we gotten ourselves into? Because it's just so different. It's so different from anything that I've seen. The way it's shot, I don't know if anybody's seen Sin City, like that black and white artistic. So I guess I think of like, oh, gritty when I think of that. This is a comedy through and through.
Yeah.
This is not in any way gritty. I'm going to strap in. I'm going to let myself go on the ride. And I'm glad I did because, yeah, at first, I'm like unsure. But because it is like so many jokes packed into this movie, and it starts building from like the very beginning, and it goes and it goes and it goes. And then it is, especially if you're paying attention, it treats you.
Yeah. It's really a masterclass in building your character up. It's sort of your typical story of, guy has an event that happens and brings this normal person. Now he has to overcome these obstacles and become a bigger person. But usually when that's done in a movie, like a John Wick or even there's plenty of movies like this where it's truly a normal person. They go from zero to hero in a montage, right? It's just You know, they are chatting with their normal suburban family. Something happens, avenge family, become master assassin, for example.
Yes.
This one does not do that.
Oh, no, he's a loser for a while.
Yeah. And I knew from seeing some like the trailers and stuff that I saw the sequence of them hurling beavers, around them. So I kept expecting to get to that. But no, yeah, it really builds up like every little bit. He starts at absolute rock bottom, and the whole movie is him getting to this point. So by the end, it feels really, really earned. You feel like you are there along with him for that journey. That's another great part of it. Aside from just the humor, it's just does a great job at building up the character.
Yeah. It actually has like an arc for a silly little movie. I don't know. Yeah. I say silly little movie, but honestly, the artistry in this was insane.
Oh,
yeah. I couldn't believe in the budget and how much creativity that was just every single moment. It didn't let up. It never like dragged for me. Some people were like, oh, well, the jokes got to be a little too much. To me, it didn't. To me, I was on board the whole time. As soon as I kind of got the vibe of like the humor, where we're going with this,
yep,
I was on board and I never got off. Like I was laughing a lot throughout this. And I feel like it's hard for movies to make me laugh out loud. Like I'll do like,
yeah.
The chuckles
Soft
and
chuckle.
stuff. But to actually like belly laugh, like out loud multiple times, I was shocked. Especially you. I feel like you don't really laugh out loud a lot.
There was a lot of points that got me. Just the absurdity of it.
It's very absurd. Because the animals that he is trapping are pretty much people in
mascot costumes.
And it's so silly. I loved it. Also, there's no dialogue, really. There's a little like no or yes, like here and there, but majority of it is dialogue free, like an old-timey movie. So that was a cool element that also kind of gives you into like the zone of being like a black and white movie.
Yeah, it really felt like they had spent a lot of painstaking effort on every frame. They knew how to use the art style to make what would otherwise probably be a really shitty green screen absolutely work. A really consistent art style that lended well to the way it was shot. The planning on this must have been insane. I think they had talked about it was very meticulously planned, and you can see why. There's so much stuff that connects.
Yes, the amount of jokes that connect, like something from the very beginning of the movie will come up again at the end. Like the amount of connection throughout the whole movie, it must have been planned to the T. I can't imagine there would have been a ton of like improv. Like it had to be
I think they said there was basically no improv.
I can see that, yeah.
Sometimes they would improv if there was like a blunder, like a physical blunder on set, like someone trips over something or accidentally knocks someone over, that just added to the absurdity, so they kept that. But generally, I don't know, it was all really meticulously planned, and you can see why when you watch it.
I think this movie also represented something that I've been talking about a lot, and in some of our past episodes with We Can Have Both. This could have been like a cheap movie where they were just running around the woods, and it might have gotten some laughs, but it wouldn't have stuck. Because of how serious they took this movie, even though it is absurd and silly.
Yes.
And the craft they put in, the planning, the timing, everything. I just appreciate the effort they put in, and that art doesn't have to be stuffy. Art doesn't have to be serious or heady. Like art, creativity, beauty can also be in movies like this. And it literally gave me joy to see this. Like just because it's silly doesn't mean you don't take it serious.
Yeah, it's truly a feast for the senses. Like
I loved it.
In the mind, it's just everything's feeding you. Everything builds and immerses you, and it really takes you for a ride. It is a ride that you get on it, and every turn is a delight. You have some great Rube Goldberg-esque.
Oh yes, I love Rube Goldberg.
And every time I thought they were going to go one way with it, they went another, and those usually were what got me the most. Just great creative choices all around, and great physical acting.
I think this is the most I want to tell people, give a try.
Yeah.
Just give it a try. maybe your humor is different from us, but if you love movies, if you love craft, this is where it's at. And it is a good time.
Yep.
I don't know what else to say. I can't believe a movie called Hundreds of Beavers is probably going to be in my top 5 this year. It is so silly and ridiculous, but I love it.
Yep.
All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to our last movie?
Nope. Watch it.
Yeah.
Give it maybe a few minutes at the beginning. The beginning, it really does not acclimate you at all. It throws you right in there.
Oh, it throws you right in.
So you got to get on board, but give it a chance. Our last movie
let me get my notes.
is Trap. A father and his teen daughter attend a pop concert, only to realize they've entered the center of a dark and sinister event. That's very vague. The trailers give you way more than that.
Sadly, the trailers do give you a lot. So I just saw this movie in the theaters. Jonathan hasn't seen it because he's very...
Shyamalan has hurt me too many times.
He has PTSD. I kind of really like this silly movie.
Okay.
Here's why. Yes, it is kind of your typical late M. Night movie, but I think a lot of his stylings and his choicings fit with this movie. Like the awkward dialogue. It's in here. But it worked because Josh Hartnett is pretty much, a psychopath? So it felt like him trying to be...
just like the director.
It's weird.
How do people talk?
And so it fit because he's also trying to be relative to his teenage daughter. So like everything he does, it worked for me. Also because Josh Hartnett is great in this movie. He's probably one of my top performances of the year. He made this movie for me. Even the parts where I was like, I don't know. I still had a great time with him. Also, they were like, oh, why are people telling him stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, because he's a gorgeous white man.
Right.
And I think that's supposed to also be part of it. Literally, people are just giving him information. I'm like, yep, but that happens all the time. That I actually buy. So it's like with
that's
the dialogue.
That's happened with real serial
killers. And how Josh Hartnett's character is, I buy it. I buy that people would just give him information. Someone even just casually gives him a weapon. And he's just like, he gives a little smirk. It's almost like to the audience, like, oh my God. But he gives it back like, oh, you can take it back. Like, I don't know. It just felt a little wink that I kind of liked. It was interesting because I felt like the only person that kind of felt natural and didn't feel so much like it had that awkward dialogue was the daughter. And it was a lot of the adults that were awkward, especially her dad. So to me, it felt like a teenage kid in a world of like awkward adults.
Okay, interesting.
So that's what I mean. Like, yeah, it's still the same old M. Night dialogue. I think this is a choice. I think when he does it, it's a choice. I just feel like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Because it gives it like an awkward, off-kiltered feeling. Where old, it drove me crazy. I could not get on board with how the dialogue was handled in old. But for some reason, probably because I don't even think he took it so serious, something about it, the silliness of it, how Josh Hartnett was playing it, the awkward dialogue just worked for me. I don't know. I'm like, okay, I see you, M. Night. And he probably didn't take it too seriously because this is pretty much a commercial for his daughter.
So how much did that affect the movie?
Wait till we get to the spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Because pretty much the first half of the movie is the concert.
Okay.
They leave halfway through.
Oh.
None of that is in the trailer.
Yeah.
So
I figured the whole thing would be inside.
I think they could have been at the concert a lot longer. To me, those were the best sequences, the best bits. There's also some sequences that I thought were pretty ingenious because if it was just him, he could probably get out easily. It's because he has his daughter with him that makes it complicated. He doesn't want to leave her behind. There is some attachment, which I find interesting. Like he is somewhere in that psycho mind of his, he does have an attachment to his kids because he actually has a wife and a son too.
Oh, okay.
So I think at this point, probably should go into spoilers.
All right. So spoilers.
For Trap.
Trap. Tune out if you're going to watch it, I suppose.
It's been a little bit.
All right.
So yeah, so how he gets out of the concert, because it is like surrounded. The reason how this trap happened is that he has like a couple different homes where he has his people that he tortures and kills. And one of them was raided, and they found a piece of a physical ticket for the concert. And I thought it was odd. I'm like, who the fuck has a physical ticket nowadays? But it is explained a little later.
Okay.
Which I was just like, huh? He gets his daughter on stage because at the end of every concert with Raven, she has a fan come up to do a song with her. And this is where Night comes in because he plays Raven's uncle.
Oh, boy.
And Josh goes up to him, talks to him, like, oh, you're Raven's uncle. And he goes, oh, my daughter, don't let her know, but she just went through cancer. And she's just she's such a strong warrior. And so M. Night as uncle's like, oh, really? And then you see him go talk to his people. The daughter gets on stage. So they're backstage now. Like the way he just inundates himself into every situation, I thought was pretty genius. So he's backstage. So he thinks, oh, can we leave from here? Thinking, of course they won't do the backstage. But because they're so frustrated, they're like, no, like everybody, even Raven's crew, everybody is being questioned. And so pretty much he blackmails Raven to get into her limo and take them home.
Oh, jeez.
We do not leave Raven behind. Raven is in the second half of the movie. She's actually the one that outs the killer. She saves the day. She saves.
Oh, man.
You could definitely tell. He's a girl dad. M. Night's a girl dad. And honestly, Josh is a girl dad too. He's like, my psycho's a girl dad, like me. I just think it's so funny. He blackmails her because on his phone, in the trailer, they show that he has the thing on his phone where he can keep an eye on his victim. So he shows her. He's like, you take me home, or I'm gassing him. Like, I have it set up. I push this button. He's dead. So she goes along with it, but then she invites herself into the house and she's trying to like drop hints to the family like, your daddy's a psycho killer. And she tricks him into getting his phone. She locks herself into the bathroom. She saves the guy by, this was probably the most, talk about technology saving the day. It makes sense, but I just hate it so much when live videos save the day. Because she gets a couple pieces of information from the victim, like, oh, there's a statue out front, and it has a blue door. So she goes, this is Raven live. Do you know anything around there with the blue door? Like, that to me was the most groan-worthy of it.
Social media to the rescue. I hate social media.
Social media to the rescue. And it's like, I get on some level it makes sense because if she is going to die, I'd be like,
right.
Hey, it's this person. Please come here. But
at least it makes sense from a superstar. Like they actually probably would have a following to make it work.
Yes, it's not some rando. She has and it works.
Of course, if we've learned anything from any other, say, Reddit investigation of a major event, they always get it wrong. So in reality, the police have now gotten inundated with 15,000 reports of a statue in a blue door.
I know they probably went to the wrong house, and that poor guy would have died in real life. But
no, they would have gone to the wrong house and shot everyone in it.
Oh, no, that's too real.
It becomes a real sad story.
A silly movie like this, I'm just like, sure, whatever. So the family then finds out that their daddy's the killer. And police come. There's more back and forth shenanigans because he gets out of the house. He takes Raven hostage for some reason in her limo.
Might as well take it again.
Sure, whatever.
It worked once.
And then he leaves the limo behind when they catch up, and she starts screaming out to people like, the killer has Beaver! Whatever. She has her ending where she goes and hugs the guy that she saved, the victim. And it's such a touching moment. I'm like, okay, M. Night. Okay, M. Night. She was fine, but she's definitely a better singer and performer in that sense. I actually buy her being like a almost a Taylor Swift stand-in type.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good. Acting, so it was fine. So the ending is the wife, played by Alison Pill. For some reason, she's in the house by herself. I think there's cops outside, but the kids go to like stay with somebody else. And she's like, I'm fine. And then the husband, Josh Hartnett, comes home. He's like, it was you. So that's the twist, is that she's the one who set him up. Because at first, she thought he was just cheating on her because, he's gone. Things didn't make sense. But there was something that, he told his neighbor a lie. She knew it was a lie. And the way he said it so convincingly, like it just came out of him. There's no thought. It was just like a cascade of dominoes in her head.
If he can lie about that, what else?
What else can he lie about?
He
and then
lie about anything.
All those pieces came together. So she printed out the ticket and put it in the house and then called the police. And that's why they raided that, because she's the one who gave the information. Yeah.
She put it in a house he had used?
I guess so. Because
How'd she find that house?
She followed him.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if she knew if anybody was there or if anybody's there. I can't remember that part.
So her plan to get him, he followed it to the house where he murdered someone. So convoluted. Left a ticket to a concert he was going to be at.
So I think So
the movie could happen.
Yes, pretty much feel the movie can happen. I think her reasoning was, I think she wasn't 100% sure. She just followed him to the house. She put the ticket there, and then she made the call. And she's like, well, if this means something, if he is the killer, then they'll do something about it. But if he's just cheating on me in this house, like, I think she was more like, this house is suspicious, blah, blah, blah. Like, she kept it vague. They went in and they found out it was the killer's house. That's when she's like 100%. When she found out from Raven that the whole show was a trap for the killer, that's when she knew her husband was definitely the killer. I think she was still like, I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. And I don't want to get my husband in jail if he's just cheating on me,
Yeah.
It's convoluted.
Go bait you this place where there's thousands of other people that we can endanger.
I know. I'm like, man, poor all those dads in there who just got manhandled by the police. Isn't there a way you could have talked to the police and been like, hey, I don't know for sure. Can you look into this? But he might just be cheating on me. I don't know. Is there some other way you could have done this? It just was the most roundabout
and they're like, hey, I think it's my husband. I think that worked with the Unabomber, right?
Yeah, so
he didn't go to the Unabomber's hut and drop a concert ticket in.
I mean, maybe
but no,
should have.
It's so the movie could happen.
So the movie could happen. I know that, and that's why I'm saying you can't take this movie too seriously. I think it's just supposed to be a fun time, a thriller movie, and I kind of like M. Night more in that facet now, when he's a little bit more in on his own joke of he knows the perception of how people perceive him. And so he makes movies really dialing into that awkward conversations and dialogue. He just really goes hard into those elements and makes it fun. I was having a good time, even though, especially the back half, I'm like, this is so stupid. I was like, I'm still having a fun time.
Yeah, definitely it seems more his speed nowadays.
Yeah.
Gone are the days of Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Embrace what you are now and roll with it.
I think you do. I feel like even though the concert part was stronger, I still feel like all of it was a fun time. I can see watching this with a group of friends and just having fun with it. So the ending is just a lot more back and forth. I feel like this movie ended 5 times.
Oh, he did. Any final thoughts?
No, it's a good time. I think people are too hard on this one.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for part one of our summer recap. We'll be back
next week.
Next week for the second half, right?
Yep. So I believe we'll have 4 other movies. So same format. Anyway, we'll see you then. Bye.
See ya. Bye.